The images you are seeing were just released by NASA's Jet Propulsion Laboratory. For the first time in history, 3 Atlas, the most mysterious interstellar object ever recorded, brightened 4 times in only 6 minutes. Even NASA's most powerful telescopes have never captured anything like this before. Scientists say 3A Atlas is a paradox in the sky, because it not only changes in unpredictable ways, but also seems to react to being watched. Some believe it is moving on its own, or that something out there is controlling its motion. If that's true, then we may not be alone in the universe, and what you're about to see next may force us to rethink everything we once believed to be true. On October 29, 2025, the Jet Propulsion Laboratory of NASA quietly released its first full report on the mysterious interstellar object known as 3 Atlas. It was supposed to be a routine publication, the kind of data scientists file away after a comet passes near the Sun. But within hours, the report spread across the global research community because nothing about it fit the laws of nature. According to NASA's own data, 3I Atlas had brightened by a factor of 5 in just a few days after it left the Sun. That was impossible for a normal comet. When a comet heats up, its ice vaporizes and forms a glowing cloud of dust. But 3 Atlas showed no sign of vapor, no tail, and no dust at all. Its light increased sharply, yet the space around it remained perfectly clear. The Deep Space Network and the European Space Agency confirmed the measurements, ruling out any software or sensor error. The numbers were real. Even Japan's Subaru telescope captured the same moment, showing a faint green halo that matched NASA's timeline exactly. That confirmation proved this wasn't an illusion caused by equipment or light distortion. Something in space had truly changed, and it happened faster than anyone thought possible. Inside the report, another strange clue appeared. The object's acceleration did not match its predicted orbit. Instead of slowing down after passing the Sun, 3I Atlas began to speed up. Its motion could not be explained by gravity or solar radiation pressure. NASA labeled the event as a non-gravitational propulsion pattern, a phrase that raised more questions than answers. If the object wasn't being pulled by gravity, then something else was pushing it. But what? The data showed no debris, no chemical jet, and no loss of mass, all of which would normally indicate a natural source of thrust. It moved as if guided by an invisible engine. NASA scientists, known for their caution, described the discovery as unprecedented. The European Space Agency supported the claim, calling it a phenomenon beyond current physical models. That admission alone sent shockwaves through the scientific world. For decades, every comet and asteroid had behaved under predictable laws, their path shaped only by the Sun's pull. But now, an interstellar visitor was moving freely, defying everything those laws predicted. Researchers ran thousands of simulations trying to explain the anomaly, but none could reproduce the same motion without inserting a mysterious external force. The findings left a single undeniable truth. 3 Atlas was not acting like anything ever seen before. It seemed to respond to something unseen, almost as if aware of being watched. If it was truly powered from within, that would change everything humanity thought it knew about space travel. Was this the first sign of a machine built by something or someone beyond our world? After the shock of NASA's first report, scientists turned their attention to one question: what was really driving 3 Atlas forward? In theory, once an object passes the Sun, gravity should begin to slow it down. But data from NASA's Jet Propulsion Laboratory had the opposite. 3 Atlas was not only maintaining its speed, it was accelerating as if powered by something unseen. The numbers revealed a steady non-gravitational acceleration, a force that didn't come from sunlight, magnetic fields, or any known natural source. Two main components stood out, one pulling inward toward the Sun and another pushing tangentially along its orbit. It was as if two separate forces were working together to keep the object on a perfect deliberate path. If this were a normal comet, such motion would mean it was losing mass at an enormous rate. Calculations showed it would have to eject more than 13% of its total material to achieve that kind of push. Yet NASA's instruments detected no trace of dust, no outging, and no visible jets. Whatever was propelling 3 Atlas, it wasn't the kind of thrust created by natural evaporation. Dr. Avi Loeb of Harvard, known for his bold theories, proposed something extraordinary. He suggested that 3 Atlas could be using a form of controlled propulsion similar to an ion drive, a system capable of pushing a spacecraft using high-energy particles. Such technology exists only in human engineering, but here it was behaving the same way across billions of miles with no signal or sound. The deeper scientists looked, the stranger the path became. 3E Atlas was following an orbit so flat that it almost perfectly matched the plane of the planets, deviating by only a few degrees. That might sound simple, but for interstellar objects, it is nearly impossible. Most foreign visitors like Oumuamua and Boros entered our solar system at steep angles, cutting through the planetary plane, skipping across water. 3 Atlas didn't do that. It moved alongside the planets, as if traveling through a highway that had been mapped in advance. Even more astonishing was how it passed near 3 major worlds, Venus, Mars, and Jupiter, at nearly ideal distances for gravity-assist maneuvers. These are the same kinds of slingshot paths that NASA uses to boost spacecraft speed without burning fuel. For a natural object to replicate that pattern, the odds were almost zero. Statistical models placed the probability at just 0.00002%. That meant either nature had performed an impossible coincidence, or something had planned this route. Data from the European Space Asia Observatory confirmed the acceleration was steady for more than 30 consecutive days. The speed increase was consistent and smooth, not chaotic as one would expect from random solar forces. It was as if an engine had been running the entire time, invisible yet precise. Some researchers speculated that 3 Atlas might be hollow or partially metallic, using heat from the sun to generate internal movement. Others argued that it could be a fragment from an ancient star system where physics behaves differently. But none of those ideas could explain the direction of its thrust or the stability of its flight path. Even the distribution of reflected light seemed so perfect, showing no wobble or spin that natural objects usually have. Every element of its journey hinted at control, or at least design. By mid-November, multiple observatories had joined NASA's tracking effort, hoping to catch signs of exhaust, dust, or radio waves, but 3I Atlas remained silent. It gave no thermal signatures of propulsion, yet continued to accelerate exactly as before. Some astronomers compared it to a spacecraft running on an unknown energy field, something that obeyed intention more than physics. The public meanwhile began to speculate whether it was truly a comet or a visitor with its own destination. Even inside NASA, quiet debates started about how much data should be shared and how much should be kept for internal review. After all, if an interstellar object could control its speed and direction, that meant it wasn't simply drifting, it was navigating. And if it was navigating, then who or what was piloting it? The next wave of data would only make the mystery deeper, revealing not just how it moved, but what it was made of. So, what exactly lies beneath the surface of 3 Atlas? Rock, metal, or something engineered? When scientists analyzed what 3 Atlas was made of, they expected to find the usual signs of an interstellar comet: ice, dust, and metals. But the scans told a different story. NASA's Jet Propulsion Laboratory discovered that the object contained extremely high levels of nickel, but almost no iron. In nature, these two elements always appear together because they form in the same stellar course. Finding one without the other meant 3 Atlas was created under unnatural conditions, or perhaps designed that way. Even stranger, the object had almost no water, with less than 4% of the amount found in normal comets. It couldn't have formed in the icy outer regions of a solar system. Instead, its chemical signature pointed to a birthplace near something extremely hot, maybe the core of a planet or a dying star. Some scientists began to wonder if it was a fragment of a world that no longer exists. The optical readings made things even harder to explain. The object's light was bluer than sunlight, suggesting it reflected more energy than it received. That kind of reflection happens with polished metal, not frozen rock dots. It also showed negative polarization, meaning light bounced in the opposite direction of what physics allows. Only a few engineered materials on Earth can do that. Thermal data from JPL revealed that 3 Atlas kept an even temperature across its surface, even when one side faced the sun. Natural comets always develop hot and cold zones, cracking as they expand and contract. 3 Atlas stayed perfectly stable, as if covered by a metallic shell, conducting heat evenly across its body. As it passed near the sun, it released short bursts of ultraviolet light far stronger than any comets. These flashes matched metals that glow when exposed to high energy, suggesting alloys capable of absorbing and releasing radiation in cycles, almost like thermal control systems used in satellites. By late November, Chile's Very Large Telescope confirmed the same spectral pattern. The entire body appeared to be made of a single continuous material. That kind of uniformity doesn't exist in nature. Every natural object, asteroids, moons, or comets, shows variation in texture and density. 3. I Atlas was smooth, bright, and perfectly balanced, like a mirror drifting through the dark. The deeper scientists looked, the more it resembled something engineered for entrance, perhaps a probe or a vessel built to cross light years of space. NASA refuses to call it artificial, but the evidence keeps pointing in one direction. 3 Atlas is not just another interstellar rock. It behaves like something alive or something made to be dot. To understand why 3 Atlas is so extraordinary, scientists began comparing it with the only 2 interstellar visitors ever recorded before it, Oumuamua and Boros. At first glance, these 3 objects seem to belong to the same family, travelers from other star systems passing through our by chance. But once their data were compared, the differences became impossible to ignore. Oumuamua, discovered in 2017, was the first true interstellar object ever detected. It entered our solar system silently, showed no dust or gas, and then slowly faded as it moved away from the sun. Its shape was strange, long and thin like a shard, but its motion could still be explained by sunlight pressure, even if that explanation was stretched to its limits. Then came Borisov in 2019, which behaved like a textbook comet. It released water, dust, and carbon compounds exactly as expected, forming a bright tail that confirmed its natural origin. In short, Oumuamua looked mysterious, but Borisov reminded everyone that space could still surprise us without breaking the rules. And then 6 years later came 3 Atlas, and all those rules collapsed. Unlike its predecessors, 3 Atlas showed no trace of dust, no signs of water, and no evidence of decay. Instead of slowing down like Oumuamua, it accelerated after leaving the sun. Instead of dimming like Boris, it grew brighter, glowing green and blue as if powered from within. Even its orbit refused to behave naturally. While both earlier interstellar objects had entered at sharp angles, cutting diagonally across the solar system, 3 Atlas traveled almost perfectly along the ecliptic plane, the same invisible path where all planets orbit. It passed near Venus, Mars, and Jupiter as if it were intentionally following a map. This alignment was too precise to dismiss as coincidence. Scientists calculated that for a random object to follow such a path by chance, the probability was less than 1.5 million. It was as though the object knew exactly where it was going. The brightness pattern also defied logic. Comets usually shine most intensely when they are close to the sun, because heat causes them to release gas and dust. But 3 Atlas did the opposite. It became brighter after it left the sun when it should have been cooling. Even more puzzling, the light it reflected wasn't scattered like normal dust particles, but returned in clean, stable waves. The reflections were too uniform, like light bouncing off a smooth surface. That meant whatever covered its body wasn't rough or icy. It was polished, perhaps metallic. Astronomers at the European Southern Observatory described it as optically controlled, meaning its surface seemed to react to light rather than merely reflect it. Such behavior had never been recorded before in any comet or asteroid. It was as if the object was responding to sunlight like a machine adjusting its shields or panels. By now, even skeptics had begun to pay attention. If Oumuamua was strange and Borisov was ordinary, then 3 Atlas was something entirely new, a hybrid of both, but governed by no natural laws we know. Some scientists started asking if maybe these 3 visitors were not random at all, but part of a larger pattern, each revealing a new step in an unknown process. Could Oumuamua have been a scout, Boris a control example, and Atlas the real messenger? The timing between their arrivals, 2017, 2019, and 2025, was suspiciously close, almost like chapters of a story being written across the stars. Whatever the truth, one fact was certain. 3 Atlas was rewriting the definition of what an interstellar object could be. Its movement, its composition, its light, everything about it whispered intelligence. And then, when astronomers thought they had seen it all, the object began to glow in a way no one could explain. It wasn't just shining. It was pulsing dot. When 3 Atlas moved away from the sun, everyone expected it to fade, just like any other comet. But instead of dimming, it began to glow brighter, not randomly, but in precise timed bursts. 4 days, telescopes around the world recorded flashes that appeared every 17 minutes, repeating 3 times before stopping. The pattern was so exact that it looked less like nature and more like a signal. At first, scientists thought it might be a rotation effect, where sunlight hits certain reflective surfaces as the object spins. But when they checked the data, the rotation speed didn't match the light intervals. Whatever was causing the flashes was independent of motion. They were perfectly synchronized, as if following a hidden clock. The European Space Agency and Japan's Subaru telescope both confirmed the phenomenon, ruling out sensor interference or reflection from nearby planets. The light pulses were real and originated directly from the object itself. That meant 3 Atlas was releasing energy intentionally, or through a process that repeated with impossible precision. And that was when someone noticed something truly strange. The timing of the light pulses matched an old mystery that had haunted astronomy for nearly half a century, the WOW signal of 1977. In August of that year, a radio telescope in Ohio detected a narrow-band transmission in 72 seconds, far stronger than the background noise of space. It came from the direction of the constellation Sagittarius near the galactic center and followed a perfect curve of intensity, growing stronger, peaking, fading. The scientist who discovered it, Jerry Amon, circled the data on paper and wrote one word beside it: wow. That signal was never heard again. Decades of follow-up searches failed to find its source, leaving only questions and theories about who or what sent it. Now, 48 years later, the rhythm of light from 3 Atlas mirrored that exact same pulse ratio when converted into optical wavelengths. It was like an echo repeating across time, but in a different form. Radio turned into light. Independent researchers called it a mirror sync pattern, a coded reflection that might be responding to the original world transmission. They believed it could mean 3 Atlas was not a random visitor, but a messenger or even a program to react when humans were ready to notice. NASA did not confirm this interpretation, but they did not deny it either. Instead, the Jet Propulsion Laboratory simply stated that the synchronization was an anomaly of unknown origin. For many in the scientific community, that was as close to an admission as they would ever get. The pulses continued for several days before fading, almost as if the object knew it had been seen. Some astronomers described the sequence as a language made of light, repeating just enough times to prove it wasn't an accident. The resemblance to the WOW signal raised another unsettling possibility. What if both events came from the same source? If the 1977 signal was a transmission and 3 Atlas was the physical answer, then humanity might be witnessing the second half of a conversation that began nearly 50 years ago. No one could say for sure if the pulses carried information or if they were merely a form of recognition. But their timing, precision, and duration were too deliberate to be dismissed. It was as though the universe itself was blinking back at us, whispering in a frequency we were never meant to hear, or perhaps had waited too long to understand. And when the flashes finally stopped, they left behind a silence, so deep it felt intentional, as if the message had been delivered and the sender was waiting for our reply. If light can carry memory across space, could this be the moment humanity finally heard something answer back? In recent weeks, several leading space research centers released synchronized solar observation data, the kind verified, peer-reviewed, and free of speculation. Their readings were consistent, and that alone made the discovery extraordinary. Near the sun's outer corona, sensors detected a massive symmetrical object glowing with steady light. At first, analysts suspected a technical glitch or radiation interference, but when multiple observatories across continents recorded the same structure at the same time, identical in shape and motion, it was no longer possible to dismiss it as error. The object's trajectory matched perfectly with the known path of 3 Atlas, the mysterious interstellar traveler already under global observation. Two distinct bodies appeared to move together before vanishing behind the sun. The data released by credible agencies confirmed that what had been seen was real, though not yet understood. Scientists described the object as radiation stable, capable of surviving heat and energy levels that should destroy any known natural material. Its size, calculated from parallax readings, stretched hundreds of miles across, reflecting light evenly without distortion. Nothing about it behaved like plasma, gas, or dust. For the first time, experts used the term non-standard solar phenomenon, a label reserved for events that defy both optical and physical models. When the sun's rotation hid the objects from view, something equally strange began to happen closer to Earth. Air traffic systems and meteorological stations reported glowing aerial formations, silent orbs above oceans, rings of light hovering over airports, and jellyfish-like shapes drifting at high altitude. Even satellites recorded brief reflections from circular objects above the clouds. Each sighting lasted only minutes, yet all occurred during the exact period when 3 Atlas was beyond visual range. That timing sparked a new hypothesis that smaller fragments or probes might have separated from the main body during its passage around the sun. The idea sounded impossible, yet the rhythm of these lights followed a consistent pattern, as if responding to something unseen. Some observers suggested that if 3 Atlas was not natural, it might release miniature devices to explore its surroundings, a bold unconfirmed theory that matched the evidence too well to ignore. As the mystery deepened, observatories worldwide began a coordinated campaign to continue the watch. Solar telescopes in Chile, Japan, Hawaii, and the Canary Islands adjusted their filters to capture even the faintest trace of returning light. The European Solar Observatory and Asian Astronomical Network shared live telemetry for the first time, building a single global feed for monitoring the region behind the sun. Radio arrays in Australia and South Africa recalibrated to pick up any low-frequency signals that might accompany the object's motion. Even space agencies not directly involved in the original discovery joined the effort, confirming that what was being tracked was far from an ordinary comet. The United States and several European countries announced plans to coordinate observation strategies through 2026, using both ground-based instruments and new deep space probes. Their stated goal was simple: to capture 3I Atlas as it moves back into visible range and determine whether its acceleration, light patterns, and temperature shifts follow any natural model. Weeks later, when 3 Atlas reappeared on sensors, its light remained unchanged. Thermal readings showed a perfectly even temperature across its surface, something only a conductive shell could achieve. No known comet or asteroid behaves that way. It reflected light with precision, endured radiation without decay, and followed a deliberate stable course through the sun's field. Experts remain cautious, calling the phenomenon scientifically credible, but not yet explained. Every frame, every reading comes from trusted instruments, not speculation. The data is real, but the meaning remains elusive. Meanwhile, discussions intensified about the broader implications. If 3 Atlas truly maintains self-regulating motion, it could represent an entirely new class of interstellar bodies, or something engineered with a purpose beyond our understanding. For astronomers, the challenge now lies not just in observation, but in coordination. As nations share resources and data in ways rarely seen before, it marks a turning point where science must face both discovery and uncertainty at once. The announcement from NASA's Jet Propulsion Laboratory has changed everything humanity once believed about 3 Atlas. It is no longer just a comet. It moves in strange, unpredictable ways, as if something inside is controlling its path, though we still don't know what it is. New theories are being formed as scientists prepare better observation plans and consider possible risks to Earth. It's clear that the vast universe still holds countless secrets waiting to be uncovered. If you're also fascinated by astronomy, stay with us and follow the journey of 3 Atlas in the next Space Savants videos.